So I'd like to move on, please, to Miss Marta Zamanillo in Swiftly in Spain. Marta is Senior Sales Engineer at Swiftly, who is always designing creative ways of helping people with their business challenges. Her education as a civil engineer combined with her massive passion for public transportation has enabled her to discover the potential of technology to solve complex problems with simple solutions. Marta works closely with transport operators and authorities across the globe, helping them embrace technology to connect the dots. Her ultimate aim is to facilitate the making data-driven decisions faster and more efficiently by always having passenger experience at the top of mind. Martha, that's a great introduction. I'll hand over to you for your presentation. You've got 15 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the introduction. So today we are going to see how to recover reliability through service adjustments and insights. So for today, I will cover the result of the survey we launched called the State of Public Transit. What are the industry challenges we are facing? And we will look ahead to see how Swiftly can help to recover reliability. I'll start with a brief introduction of myself and Swiftly. So I'm Marta, I'm a senior sales engineer. I've been working over a decade in the transportation industry. I've been working with authorities, private operators, and consultants to understand how technology can help public transportation to be more reliable. For the last 3 years, I've been working at Swiftly, which is a big data platform that helps public transportation become a fast, frequent, and an attractive alternative to the private vehicle. So what is Swiftly? Swiftly compares timetable data with real-time vehicle location data. With Swiftly, you can monitor the vehicles in real time and understand how the network is performing. Swiftly provides very powerful reports and visualizations to easily identify issues in the operation, and all of that in a simple and visual way. The company was founded in 2014 in the US by experts on the field of real-time passenger information systems. Right now at our company, we have a mix of colleagues with a robust transport knowledge and also a very strong technological background. And I think what is common to all of us is that we all are data geeks. So we work in more than 90 cities because the way our platform works, we work with very small locations. One example is a very small island in Los Angeles with just 7 buses. And we can also scale up, and we work in larger cities like Boston, Miami, in Australia, Manchester in the UK, for example. So the State of Public Transit is a survey that we conducted across 83 transportation professionals with different roles, working at different departments and different companies. And the objective was to understand the challenges of this unusual year and how the future looks like given the current situation. I will share the link to download the full version of the report if you are interested, but today we are going to cover like the main key takeaways. So the 3 big takeaways that we've seen is that, first of all, public transport professionals are doing more with less. More service, more distancing, more personal protection equipment, but less ridership and less budgets. The second one is that in order to overcome to this demanding new reality, the only way to survive to this and to get out of it is to be agile and be flexible. And then the third metric, and this was kind of a little bit surprising, I will say, is that reliability. We've known that reliability has been always a main metric. That it's been always how buses are performing, and are they on time, and are we delivering the service that we promised. But now it is also a safety metric. So as we've seen and other colleagues have pointed out, depending on the region or depending on which part of the world, but ridership level has declined a lot. It depends between 30%, 50%. So the ultimate objective is clear: get passengers back. And that's why we need to do more. Now, operators and authorities are changing schedules twice as often as usual, just because there are different traffic patterns, there are different levels of lockdowns. We already lost the count of how many lockdowns we've had in any country. So now it is time to be efficient when all those changes need to be put in place and be optimized. And then what I was saying before, reliability has been always a great metric to understand if the public transportation is being efficient or not. But now we've seen that 80% of the respondents of the survey pointed out that reliability is the primary key to manage and reduce crowding, and that's the main thing that passengers need to perceive, that it is safe to get in buses. So in order to do that, buses need to be on time and be reliable and spaced. So we also asked this question: if you knew COVID was coming, what would you have done to prepare for it? And apart from getting more equipment or protecting their staff, which is something that we could have prevented, is that all the changes and all the adjustments that need to be taken into consideration, they need to be communicated. So it was very fulfilling that communication was one of the main things to work on and to be prepared with. So if we look ahead at the future, that's what Swiftly is doing. Swiftly is helping authorities and operators in the journey of digital transformation by connecting them with passengers, connecting with drivers, and all of that having an accurate picture of what is happening in real time, and also historically to make data-driven decisions. So we have 3 different product lines. All of them can be used together, or just one of them, or and then be combined with other solutions that our customers can have. And the 3 product lines are Metronome for real-time operation tools, Transit Time, that is all about connecting with passengers and providing passengers real-time information. And then Insights, that is all about understanding historically and doing an analysis on the trends of the data. So how does Swiftly work? It's very simple. We just need 2 different sources of data. The first one is the timetable data, and with that we understand where vehicles are planned to be. And then we compare that information with any sort of vehicle equipment that indicates to us where vehicles are in real time. We mix both ingredients, and that's how we make the Swiftly cocktail. So Swiftly Metronome has 3 different modules: live operations to manage all the fleet in real time; onboard app that makes 2 things. One is it generates real-time vehicle location, and it provides real-time performance feedback for drivers. We are going to see a use case of how Miami adopted this solution during COVID time. And then service adjustments, that is all about making changes in real time, and then to connect that information, and to make sure that those changes are communicated to drivers and passengers. So Miami is a great example about why it's so important to stay nimble. What they had at the beginning of COVID, to avoid crowding and to maintain social distancing, they decided that they needed to increase frequency. They didn't want to make any cut on the services. So out of the sudden, they needed to put more vehicles outside. They didn't have more extra vehicles, but they had tourist buses and hotel shuttles that they were available at that time. So with that, they solved that issue. They had now drivers and also extra vehicles to run the services. But then the next question was, okay, how is Miami gonna track those vehicles and how those vehicles are gonna serve passengers? So they looked at different solutions and different ways of installing any technology in the buses to make them run. And the most cost-effective and time-effective solution was the onboard app. Is that tablet that you see on the screen. It is just a tablet that is installed in the vehicles, and then it is connected to an app, and that's the onboard app. So the onboard app, as I was mentioning before, it does two things. First one, it generates real-time vehicle location. So Miami, at the operational control center, they were able to see all their regular buses, but also all these extra buses like tourist buses and the shuttles. And with that, they had a unified view with all the different buses tracked in real time. It also provided predictions and real-time information for passengers. So passengers could receive any predictions about any bus, and they had the certainty that the bus will arrive. And also it provided feedback in real time for drivers to keep on time with the schedule. And then service adjustments is very important. Let's face it, even if you had the perfect timetable, unplanned events occur all the time, every day. And that's what our customers value the most, to be confident that they have technology and tools to support them when that happens. And that was what happened in Texas. There was a terrible storm a month ago or so. I'm pretty sure you've seen that in the news. Because of the weather, it shut down power plants. So the authority had to react very quickly and had to update many trips and blocks and cancel a lot of services at the same time. It was not a good time for passengers to be out there waiting at the bus stop, and the bus didn't arrive. So it was not, that situation could not happen. So with service adjustments, Cap Metro was able to cancel and modify all the services in real time, make those changes fast, and while keeping passengers informed. And also, as the service was restoring progressively, they could progressively adjust the service as well. Swiftly transit time, as I said before, is all about connecting information with passengers. And this is what NCTD have done. Before Swiftly, they had to manually notify passengers of any changes because they didn't have an integrated solution integrated with their CAD/AVL system. And so they had to make a lot of manual updates, and that was like one-time adjustment at a time. And now with Swiftly, all the predictions are connected and passengers are informed through Google Maps or Apple Transit and any other passenger-facing apps. Swiftly Insights is all about understanding what has happened. After a day making a lot of changes on the fly, it's time to sit down and analyze what happened and then think about how to improve it. For that, we have many modules to look at the network from different perspectives: punctuality, EWT or excess waiting time for high-frequency services, runtime analysis to identify the most effective timetable, speed analysis, and driver punctuality. So Strætó and Authority in Iceland is a great example about how to iterate. They had a lot of delays, and they had a lot of complaints, both from passengers and from operators. They did some manual adjustments, but kinda the punctuality was not right. The lines were not being reliable. And then with Swiftly using runtimes and on-time performance in combination with a speed map, they had an accurate picture of what was not working, and they were able to implement changes on that route. And then they improved by 20% the accuracy of the accuracy of the punctuality. And then the operator was happy because they were on time and they stopped getting customer complaints. So they switched from being reactive to be proactive. So just to summarize how Swiftly can help recover quickly, first and foremost, it reduces operational cost by improving running times and schedule, and also by analyzing more services in less time. Less time is what it is key, like be more efficient and just invest in time when it's needed. So by implementing Swiftly, we've seen tremendous time savings. And all of that with the confidence of making decisions that are based on data, based on millions of data points. And communication is key, as we've seen with passengers, but also internally within the different stakeholders, municipalities, operators, or authorities. They need to work together, and they need to start a dialogue based on data. And all in all, with the objective of improving passenger experience. So setting up is very easy. It is all on the cloud and it has a quick deployment. If you have GTFS or TransExchange for timetable data and vehicle equipment, let us know and we can integrate your data and set up a meeting. These are my contact details. Thank you for your time, for the opportunity of speaking today, and I'm very happy to answer any questions at the end.
I'd like to move on to our Q&A now, please. We've got 8 minutes, which is a nice amount of time to go through the Q&A. There's some questions which people have been responding to in the Q&A panel, which is excellent, so thank you for that. There's one, I suppose, key one, which will apply to a lot of the mobility services providers who presented today, which is around data protection and GDPR. Clearly, if we're collecting data on personal movement, even if you're not necessarily collecting the name of or personal details, clearly you're developing a journey pattern which could potentially become identifiable and give rise to personal data sharing. So Marta and Alan, thank you. I can ask you to turn on your cameras as well. I suppose a question to the panel: how are you're dealing with that risk and making sure that data is anonymized? Any takers?
Yeah, I can take it if you want. That's a really important question and really big matter for us. In France, we are especially sensitive on this point because we have GDPR and we have also a governmental agency that give extra rules on the commitment on the data privacy, and especially GPS data is extra sensitive, in fact. So we have very clear rules on that given by the governmental organization. In fact, we have absolute anonymized data, of course, but it can't be totally private, even if it's anonymized. So we need encrypted transfer on this data to be sure that not humans can see this data. And after, we can't have any analyze on flow under 10 people to be sure that we conserve data privacy, and we can't save raw data more than 30 months. And that's the 3 main rules that we have. And I think it's important because GDPR is not that clear on these issues, and the governmental agency give us some good practices on this.
Yeah, in our case, for Swiftly, we only need timetable data and real-time vehicle location data. And I think in the last years, there's been multiple initiatives to openly share that data. So we don't have any issues. And even if the data sets are not openly available, they respect all the GDPR requirements.
That's great, thank you. There's no other questions in the chat, but I've got a couple I'd like to pose to the panel, if that's okay, whilst people are hopefully thinking about more questions, which is clearly passenger data is obviously very, very important, and understanding demand. It's one sort of piece of the puzzle, really, if we start thinking about the transport ecosystem and how we optimize the infrastructure that we have and prioritize investment. So what opportunities do you see, especially, I suppose, in the COVID world where home shopping, for example, has become such a big seen such growth, to think about the freight and micro freight and medium-sized freight demand for the road network, and how that might be the data around that might be combined with passenger data, and think about the wider ecosystem.
That is a tricky question, Ben.
Well, I like to ask the difficult ones, Thomas.
No, I cannot provide technical details, and I'll turn to my colleague panelists there. But what I'd like to mention is that there is, for the entire system, an immense amount of value in doing exactly what you just described, which is to try essentially to maximize the usage of the capacity, whether it's goods for goods transportation or for people transportation. And it always starts by making sure that we understand where are the opportunities, and understand which data needs to be harnessed and for what purpose. We always come back to this question of ensuring that the competitiveness is protected, that the privacy is protected. And for that, it's absolutely essential for something as ambitious as the use case that we described to align the stakeholders in a way that helps them to understand that it's not about sharing all their data, but simply giving the data points that are necessary to achieve a higher objective. The other point I want to mention there is that for this kind of initiative to really succeed, there needs to be a level of leadership taken by ideally public sector, but could also be a public-private partnership in order to articulate this. But I'd like to hear from the colleagues there.
I think thank you, Thomas. I think one of the things we're finding quite interesting in the UK is whether we can, rather than thinking about these things in individual and discrete silos of passenger and freight, whether there are opportunities to think about them in a joined up way. Many years ago, back in the sort of 1920s, 1930s in the UK, we used to have post buses. So about a third of the bus was filled with packages and parcels, and the rest of it was passengers. And of course, rails had that model up until very recently, where you had goods carriages. And we made the decision that actually that wasn't an efficient way of doing things. But actually, if we start to think about how we fund and the affordability aspects of public transport going forward, and optimizing for both carbon and space, it may well be that we need to see a return to thinking about things in a joined up fashion and not in silos of passenger and freight. So I think one final question actually before we conclude, which is around, I think you said this already, Thomas, which is the profitability aspects, the competitiveness aspects. If we start opening up data, do we risk eroding or challenging the competitiveness, and therefore the ability to make profit in the transport space?
I wouldn't say so, actually. I do think that there is a higher value potential in sharing data. That's very much our principles. And I think it's all down to the governance that is established for the data sharing case or capability that is created. And I like the way you put it for this use case of managing people and goods transportation in maximizing the efficiency of the whole system, because that's exactly the kind of case where the value is clear, where you maximize usage space of one asset, which we know for public transport operators is extremely important to, I would say, maximize the operations of the transport system itself. And so when it comes to sharing this value, it's all about the governance that is established. And what we see in most cases is the need to establish quite a comprehensive governance. So governance about how the operations are done, how the data is managed, analyzed on a daily basis or regular basis, which is rather the flow of data. And then also another layer of governance where it's all about agreeing the retributions and various transactional processes where companies somehow agree to the terms of sharing their data and the retribution of value when it is economic, because it is not only economic. And finally, we also see more and more usage of blockchain technology and distributed ledger here. And I don't want to open a big door, but simply to say that these kind of technologies are also there to support the establishment of this transactional mechanism that reinforce the trust and somehow highlight better and unveil faster the value of data sharing.
Excellent.
Yeah, I agree with Thomas that, I mean, there are a lot of initiatives by opening the data, sharing data. We are collaborating with many open data portals, and one of them, we are collaborating with the DST and the bots portal. And there are a lot of benefits by opening the data that otherwise they would be like privately sharing with specific vendors. And at the end of the day, that way you are opening the opportunities for other companies or to just come up with innovative ideas. So that's the way to go.
Thank you, Marta. Unfortunately, we are out of time for this session, but my huge thanks to all of the speakers today for some really interesting presentations and also for your responses to the Q&A session. If you'd like to get in touch with the speakers, please do so. I think their contact details being shared. And I look forward to seeing some of you soon and hopefully have a chance to catch up with more of you in due course. So thank you very much, and I'll hand back to Marta.